There's a moment every leader faces when the mission goes sideways, when the plan collapses, and everyone's looking for someone to blame. That's the moment truth shows up. Not when things are easy, not when the path is clear. It's when the chaos hits, when you can feel the pressure closing in. That's when leadership is tested. Most people point fingers. Real leaders, they point the thumb. Because leadership isn't about control, it's about ownership. And that's the number 6 leadership rule. Take ownership. Step 1, no excuses, only results. Leadership doesn't care about your excuses. The mission doesn't slow down because you're tired, stressed, or short on resources. The standard doesn't bend to your feelings. The world doesn't hand out sympathy when things get hard. It demands performance. It demands results. Every time you choose to justify your shortcomings instead of correcting them, you're building weakness into your system. Excuses are the cracks that break the foundation of leadership. They spread, they infect your mindset, and before you even realize it, you're not leading anymore. You're just explaining why you failed. A real leader looks at the situation and asks one question: what can I do right now to fix this? Not whose fault is it, not why didn't it work, but what's the next move? Because results don't come from talking about problems, they come from taking action. Leaders don't wait for the perfect conditions. They operate in the mud, in the dark, under pressure. They adapt, they adjust, and they execute. When the team falls short, they don't point fingers. They take ownership and move forward. That's the difference between people who lead and people who follow. Followers hide behind excuses. Leaders face the outcome and find a way. Every excuse you make weakens your credibility. Every time you justify failure instead of learning from it, you lose respect from your team, from your peers, from yourself. People don't follow someone who explains why things didn't happen. They follow the one who makes things happen. Excuses are a comfort zone disguised as logic. They sound reasonable, they sound justified, but they kill your drive, your accountability, and your mission. You can either protect your ego or protect your standard. You can't do both. Leadership is about owning the outcome. All of it. If the mission fails, it's on you. If someone on your team messes up, it's on you. If the result doesn't meet the mark, it's on you. That level of responsibility is heavy, but that's what builds strength. When you stop making excuses, you start finding solutions. When you stop defending your failures, you start correcting them. When you stop explaining why it can't be done, you start proving that it can. Because in leadership, the scoreboard doesn't record effort, emotion, or explanation. It only records results. Step 2, responsibility is not optional. In leadership, responsibility isn't something you pick up when it's convenient and drop when it's heavy. It's not a part-time role. It's not something you share only when the outcome is good. Responsibility is the weight that sits on your shoulders every second you lead. It's what defines you when everything falls apart. Anyone can lead when the skies are clear and the mission runs smoothly. But real leadership is tested when things break, when people fail, when plans collapse, when the chaos closes in. That's when you don't get to hide behind excuses, titles, or hierarchy. That's when you step forward and say, "This is on me." Most people run from responsibility because it exposes them. It forces them to confront their flaws, their decisions, their lack of preparation. Responsibility is uncomfortable because it demands honesty, brutal honesty. It doesn't care about how much effort you put in or how good your intentions were. It only cares about the result and what you're going to do next. You can't delegate it, you can't transfer it, and you can't escape it. Once you're in charge, everything that happens, good or bad, is yours to own. The moment you start pointing fingers, you stop leading. The moment you say, "It wasn't my fault," you've already failed the standard of leadership. Responsibility builds credibility. When your team sees you take ownership, even when it hurts, they begin to trust you. They know you're not going to hide behind them when things go wrong. They know you'll stand in the fire with them. And that kind of trust doesn't come from speeches or motivation. It comes from consistent action. Every decision, every call, every choice reflects your ability to accept responsibility. That's what separates the ones who lead from the ones who crumble under pressure. You can't command respect if you refuse to own the outcome. Leadership without responsibility is chaos. It's confusion, finger-pointing, and failure disguised as teamwork. But leadership built on responsibility creates order. It creates accountability. It creates strength. The more you accept responsibility, the more control you have over your environment, because when you own everything in your world, you also gain the power to change it. Responsibility isn't optional. It's the price of leadership, and only those willing to pay it deserve to lead. Step 3. Blame no one, fix everything. When things go wrong, most people look for someone to blame. It's human nature to shift the spotlight, to point outward instead of inward. But leadership isn't about comfort, it's about control. The moment you start blaming others, you give away your power to change the situation. You hand over your authority to circumstance, to excuses, to weakness. A true leader doesn't waste energy assigning fault. They use that energy to find a solution. The question isn't who caused this, the question is how do we fix it? Because blame doesn't rebuild trust, blame doesn't move the mission forward, and blame doesn't solve the problem. Only action does. Every time you point a finger, you're teaching your team to do the same. You're creating a culture of avoidance, where people hide mistakes instead of confronting them. Blame kills communication, it kills accountability, it replaces discipline with fear. And when fear runs the team, performance drops. A leader's job is to eliminate that weakness from the system. When something breaks, you step in and fix it, not because it's your fault, but because it's your responsibility. That's the difference between a manager and a leader. A manager reacts. A leader responds. A leader takes chaos and turns it into clarity. When you adopt the mindset of fix everything, you stop waiting for help. You stop expecting someone else to clean up the mess. You take full command of your environment. It's not about ego or control. It's about setting a standard. If something is wrong, fix it. If someone on your team is falling behind, train them. If the plan fails, adjust it. Don't look for who to punish. Look for what to improve. Every problem is an opportunity to grow stronger, faster, and smarter. Every challenge is a test of how far you're willing to go to uphold your standard. Leaders don't waste time living in the past. They don't replay mistakes or dwell on blame. They live in the present, in the reality of what needs to be done right now. Blame keeps you stuck in what happened. Fixing keeps you focused on what's next. The mission doesn't pause for complaints. The battlefield doesn't wait for explanations. You either fix it or it fails. That's the mindset that keeps a leader sharp, disciplined, and ready for anything. Step 4, ownership builds. Trust. Leadership is not built on titles, authority, or words. It is built on trust. And trust isn't given because someone says they're in charge. Trust is earned, moment by moment, through consistent action, accountability, and ownership. When a leader steps up and claims responsibility for the outcome, the good and the bad, the team begins to believe in them. They see someone who doesn't hide behind excuses, someone who doesn't shift blame, someone who doesn't falter when the pressure is highest. That visibility, that reliability creates confidence in the leader, and confidence breeds trust. Ownership is a powerful signal. It tells your team that you are fully invested, that you are willing to carry the burden alongside them. It's easy to give orders from a distance, to watch mistakes happen, and to delegate accountability. But true leadership is measured in moments when the leader stands in the fire, absorbs the heat, and guides the team through it. When people witness their leader taking responsibility for failures instead of pointing fingers, they feel safe to take risks, to push harder, and to follow without hesitation. They know that the person leading them will never abandon the mission or the team, and that assurance transforms respect into unwavering trust. Trust built through ownership is contagious. It doesn't only affect your credibility, it changes the culture of the team. When a leader owns the outcome, it encourages everyone else to own their role. People stop looking to hide mistakes or avoid accountability because they see the example set by the one at the front. Everyone begins to operate with integrity, discipline, and a sense of purpose. The team becomes self-sufficient, resilient, and cohesive because the standard has been set by action, not by words. Ownership breeds ownership, and that culture of accountability is the backbone of any successful operation. Owning the outcome also demonstrates courage. It's easy to take credit when things go right. It's easy to celebrate success. But leadership isn't tested in victory, it's tested in failure. Standing tall when things fall apart requires a willingness to admit mistakes, learn quickly, and course correct without hesitation. That willingness is what gives the team confidence that their leader is dependable, that their mission is in capable hands, and that even when the worst happens, someone is ready to lead them forward. Trust is fragile, but when built through consistent ownership, it becomes unshakable. Step 5, control what you can. Leadership is often misunderstood as the ability to command others, to dictate every action, or to orchestrate every outcome. The truth is far simpler and far harsher. Leadership is about controlling what you can control and accepting what you cannot. The battlefield is unpredictable. Plans fail, people make mistakes, conditions shift without warning. You cannot command luck, weather, or the actions of others. You cannot force circumstances to bend to your will, but you can control yourself. You can control your discipline, your decisions, your effort, and your response. That's where true power lies. Leaders stop wasting energy on what's outside their influence and focus relentlessly on what's within it. When you control what you can, you remove chaos from your life. You stop reacting to distractions, setbacks, and external noise. You focus on the mission, on the standard, and on executing with precision. Every action you take, every decision you make, becomes deliberate and calculated. You cannot rely on external factors to deliver success. You rely on preparation, discipline, and relentless execution. That focus doesn't just improve performance, it builds confidence. When the team sees a leader who doesn't panic, who doesn't complain, who doesn't falter under pressure, they gain faith that the mission can be accomplished, no matter what the circumstances. Controlling what you can also means prioritizing your energy. Every second you waste worrying about things beyond your control is a second you could have spent taking action on what matters. You cannot fix the past, you cannot predict the future, and you cannot dictate the behavior of others, but you can adjust your tactics, tighten your focus, and take ownership of your responsibilities right now. That mindset separates those who succeed under pressure from those who crumble. It creates leaders who are proactive instead of reactive, deliberate instead of panicked, and resilient instead of defeated. The discipline of controlling what you can extends to every aspect of leadership. Your attitude, your preparation, your work ethic, and your decision-making are all within your control. The results of your actions may not always be perfect, but the process is always yours to command. When you master this principle, you become a force that the chaos cannot break. You influence what matters. You lead by example. You set the standard. And while the world rages around you, you remain steady, focused, and unyielding because you have learned the critical truth of leadership. Control what you can, and everything else is irrelevant. Step 6. Lead from the front. Leadership is not a position you occupy, it's an action you take. Sitting behind a desk, giving orders, and expecting results without being in the thick of it is not leadership. It's management. Real leaders step into the arena. They put themselves where the pressure is highest, where the challenges are fiercest, and where the consequences are real. Leading from the front means showing up first, working hardest, and taking the first hit when things go wrong. It's about setting the standard not with words, but with action, and showing your team that you are willing to bear the same burden you ask of them. Leadership is contagious. Your energy, your courage, and your commitment set the tone for everyone else. When you lead from the front, you earn respect in ways that no title or rank ever can. People follow those who are willing to do what they ask of others. When the work is hardest, when the conditions are worst, that's when a leader's presence matters most. Visibility in the struggle signals commitment. It demonstrates that you are not just giving commands from a place of comfort or safety. You are sharing the risk, sharing the effort, and sharing the responsibility. That example inspires confidence, loyalty, and trust. A team that sees its leader fully invested in the mission will mirror that intensity. They will fight harder, push further, and refuse to quit because they know their leader isn't asking them to do anything they wouldn't do themselves. Leading from the front also means taking responsibility for mistakes and failures. You cannot hide behind your team when things go wrong. When the operation fails, the first person accountable is you. When the pressure mounts, you step forward and guide the response. You don't wait for someone else to fix the problem. You don't look for someone else to shoulder the blame. You take action immediately. That decisiveness under fire defines leadership. It eliminates hesitation, confusion, and doubt. It reinforces the standard that no matter how difficult the situation, someone is prepared to take control, make the tough calls, and drive the team forward. Leadership is proven in the fire of action, not in comfort or convenience. By leading from the front, you create a culture of discipline, accountability, and relentless pursuit of the mission. You remove fear from hesitation because your team knows you are right there, facing the same trials. You set the expectation for performance through your presence, effort, and example. You don't just talk about standards, you embody them. And when your team sees you living the standard every day, they follow without question, knowing that leadership is not about who gives orders, but who is willing to carry the weight first. Leadership is not about titles or excuses. It's about owning the outcome, controlling what you can, and leading from the front. Step up, take responsibility, fix what's broken. Your team will follow because you set the standard. This is the number 6 leadership rule. Own it, live it, lead it.